Right, good morning YouTube and welcome to my channel, Jules Craft Room, and I'm Julie, and today we're starting week 4 of the Summer Picnic Crochet Along by Serda. This time we'll be adding to our previous raspberry panel, so we're not going to have to do the 171 chain, so that's good. And yeah, so let's get cracking. Turn you round. Right, so we're going to be adding to this raspberry panel, and it says to start at the top. So the top is here. You can see my stitch marker from where my right side, and it also says to start on the wrong side. So we need to turn this round and we need to start at the top here, and you join your yarn, and then you do a double crochet into each stitch to the end. Now you'll do one into here because this doesn't count as a stitch, so you do one chain and then a double crochet into here like that. And then you're doing a double crochet all the way along. And you do that all the way along, and hopefully you started with 170 stitches, so you should end with 170 double crochets. And I'll see you at the end of row 1. Right, so when you get to the end of row 1, you turn, so you'll be on your right side. You do 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and you do a treble into that same stitch that the 3 chain has come out of, because the 3 chain doesn't count as a stitch. And then you do a treble into every stitch all the way along to the end. So you should have 170 trebles plus the 3 chain. Okay, I'll see you at the end of row 2. Right, so when you get to the end, you should have 170 trebles, and you turn, so you're on your wrong side. And row 3 is 3 chain. So it's 1, 2, 3. And you do a treble into the first stitch, because this doesn't count as a stitch. So like that. And then you do 1 chain, you miss a stitch, and you treble into the next. Like that. So it's 1 chain, miss a stitch, treble into the next. And you do that all the way along. And it's going to be like previously what you did, this bit here. Okay, so when you get to the end, you'll do a treble into the last stitch. So you'll have two bars, the same as here at the end. Right, I'll see you at the end of row 3. Right, so when you get to the end of row 3, it should look like that with 2 trebles at the end. And then you turn, and you'll be on your right side, and you start row 4. So row 4 is 3 chain, doesn't count as a stitch, and then you do a treble into the bottom of the 3 chain. And you do a treble into the next stitch. I'm coming to the end of my second ball of white now. I don't know how you're doing. And then you do a treble into the chain space. And then a treble into the top of the treble from the previous round. And then a treble into the chain space. And you do that all the way along. And you should end up with 170 trebles. And that will be your row 4. And row 5 you will turn and you will do 3 chain and you will do trebles all the way along into each treble and have 170 trebles at the end. You'll then fasten off and I'll see you for row 6. Right, so at the end of row 5 you fasten off and you turn. So you're now on your right side and you join using the ice pink at the top of here with a 2 chain, 1, 2. Now this doesn't count as a stitch, so you then do a half treble into the same stitch that you joined into. It should look like that. And now you're going to half treble into the next 3 stitches. So that is 1, 2, and then you're going to change to the pink in this last stitch. So we're now changing to the pink. Like that. And you're going to half treble into the next 3 stitches. That's 1, 2, and on the third one you're going to change again back to the pink, the ice pink, like that, and then you're going to do 3, 1, 2, and then you're going to change again, weaving in the back as you go. And you do this all the way to the last 7 stitches. We keep changing between these 2 and keeping one in one position, one in the other, so that you don't tangle the threads. So I've got one out to the front here and the other one to the back of me. And you just do that all the way along. And then change like that, and that's what it should look like. So you started off with 4 in the ice pink, and then you're doing 3, change, 3, change, 3, change, 3, change, all the way along until the last 7. I'll see you at the end. Right, so at the end of row 6, when you get to the last 7 stitches, you do 3 in the ice pink, and then 4 in the pink colour. 2, 3, 4, and then you turn and you start row 7. And row 7 you're doing 2 chain. You're doing a half treble into the first stitch where you did the 2 chain. and then a half treble into each of the next 3. And on the last one, you change again. And then you do 3. Take that to the front and pull that one so it's no baggy ends, and then we do 3 in this pink, catching the ice pink as we go along. Then give that little pull, make sure it's tidy. And you do that all the way along until you get to the end, the last 7 stitches. And I'll see you at the end of row 7. Right, so when you get to the last, the end of the 7th row, you've got 7 stitches left, and you do 3 in the pink, two, 3 and 4 in the ice pink, and then you fasten off, and you're going to be adding the white. And for rows 8 and 9 you join the white and you do a treble, a free chain in the first stitch, and then you do a treble into every stitch, and the 3 chain doesn't count as a stitch, so you should do 170 trebles in each stitch, and you do that for row 8 and row 9. And then I'll see you at the end of the 2 white rows, and we'll be starting row 10, the bluebell row. So I'll see you then. Right, so when you get to the end of row 9, so that was row 8 and that's row 9, and they're just trebles. When you get to the end of row 9, it just tells you to turn, but we don't use the white again, so I'm going to fasten off on mine. So I fastened off, and then it tells you to turn, so you're now on the right side and you're ready to start row 10, and that's with the bluebell. So you join the bluebell into the first stitch, like that, and you do a 3 chain. And then you do a treble into every stitch to the end, and then turn. And you do that again for row 11. So you're going to do 2 rows of trebles, and you're starting off with a 3 chain on both rows, and so you'll be, and that doesn't count as a stitch, so you'll be doing your treble in that same stitch to start off with, like that. And now you're going to do 2 rows of trebles, and you should have 170 trebles in each row. So that is row 10 and 11, and I'll see you back here for row 12. Right, so when you get to the end of row 11, you should have had row 10 and row 11, which were just trebles all the way along in every stitch. And you should have 170 trebles plus the 3 chain at the beginning. You should now be starting row 12 on the right side of your work, And it's important that you start with 170 trebles because you're going to increase this row. So you're going to have to check your stitch count to make sure it's all as it should be. Otherwise I should think your cherries will be all over the place. You're starting with a 3 chain. This doesn't count as a stitch. And then it says to do a treble into the first stitch, which will be underneath the 3 chain that you did. So that is your first treble. It then says, then you start the repeat. And the repeat is 1 treble into the next 2 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and then it says 2 trebles into the next stitch. So you're doing 2 into the same stitch. Miss a stitch, yarn over, then you go into this one and you start your treble, then you yarn over again and go into the next stitch. Then you've got 4 on the hook, on loops on the stitch, you pull through 2 and then you pull through 3, and then you've decreased there because you've joined those 2 stitches together and created just 1 there, so that will be decreasing, whereas when you did 2 into the same stitch here you increased. Then you go on to do 1 treble in each of the next 2 stitches, so 1 treble in here and 1 treble in here. Then you 1 chain, you miss a stitch, and you do 2 trebles into the next stitch. So it's 2 into this stitch. That's 1, 2, and that's giving you your, so you've got a hole there and a hole there, and you've done 2 trebles in that one to increase, and this one you've decreased by doing 2 trebles together and creating 1 stitch, and then here you've done 2 trebles into that 1 stitch, so you've increased. And then you do a treble into the next 2 stitches. That's 1, 2, and then that is the end of your repeat, so you start your repeat again from here. So the start of your repeat will be 2 trebles into the next 2 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and then you are doing 2 trebles into the next stitch. That's 1 in there and another 1 in the same stitch. Then you're doing 1 chain, you're missing a stitch, and you're doing 2 together in this stitch and this stitch. So it will be, you start off, partially do your treble, yarn over, go into the next stitch, partially do your treble, you've got 3 loops on the hook, and you pull through all 3, and you've joined them together to create 1 stitch, whereas you had 2 down there, and that will be another hole. Then you do your treble into the next 2 stitches. That's 1, 2, then you chain 1, you miss a stitch, and you do 2 trebles into the next stitch. Like that. And then you do a treble into the next stitch and a treble into the next stitch, and that's the end of your repeat again. And if you look at it, you can see that you're getting 2 holes here and 2 holes here, so you're actually getting, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches in between where you've increased there, in between each of the holes for the cherries, and then just here it's actually 3 stitches because you've joined 2 together, and then you've got 2 single trebles. And you carry on like that all the way to the end, and you should have 184 stitches. So we'll check that at the end. This card is what I'm using as a marker on my pan. If you wondered what that was, it's my dog groomer's card. But yeah, so you'll be doing the repeat again. So the repeat would be 2 trebles into the next 2 stitches, like that. Then you do 2 trebles into the next stitch, 2 into the same stitch, then you do your 1 chain, you'd miss a stitch, and you'd do your 2 trebles together. So you start your treble, and then you, without finishing it, you yarn over and start it again in the next stitch, pull through 2, then you've got 3 left on there, and you pull through all 3, and that's created 1 stitch from 2. Then you're doing a crochet, a treble into the next stitch, then a treble into the next stitch, then you're doing a chain, you're missing a stitch, and you're doing 2 trebles into the same stitch, and then you're doing a single treble in 1 stitch and another treble in the next stitch, and then that's the end of your repeat. Okay, so I'll see you at the end, and hopefully we've got 184 stitches. Right, so when you get to the end of the repeat, it says to do a treble in that last stitch, finish it off. And then it says you should have 184 stitches. So the way I've counted it, which because I presume they want you to count along the top here, which you can, 184. How I counted it was I counted the trebles. So I didn't count this one because that doesn't count. And then I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then where these are joined together, I would count that as 1. So that'd be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and that would be 1, so that would be 17, 18, 19. And I go all the way along, and I came up with 156 of those trebles. Then I added the spaces, of which I had 28 spaces, and 28 and 156 comes to 184. So that's how I did my stitch count. Right, at the end of row 12, it says to fasten off and not to turn. So we stay on the right side of our work. And we go to the other end and we join the Cupid colour. So you're joining in the top there. Like that, and it says to do 1 chain and 1 double crochet in that first stitch, like that. And then it says to do 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, miss 4 stitches and work in behind the 1 chain on the 12th row, make a 7 treble bobble. So you miss 4 stitches, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then behind this chain you make a 7 treble bubble into the next missed stitch of the 11th row. So that would be, so you're going in there, pull through 2 loops, hand over, pull through 2 loops, and you do that 7 times. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trebles. Then you've got 8 loops on your hook, and you pull through all 8 to finish your trebles off, and that makes your 7 treble bubble. And then it says to miss 3 stitches, 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, miss 3 stitches, which is 1, 2, 3, and then working behind again in that chain down there, you're doing another 7 treble bubble. So that's 1, light yarn over, 2, yarn over, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should have 8 loops on the hook, and you pull through. And this time you are going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you are going to miss the next 8 stitches, and then you're going to make your 7 treble bubble into the missed stitch. So you're going to miss 8 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then into this missed stitch down here, which you come in from behind. You are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 treble bubble, 8 loops, pull through all 8, and then you are going to do 3 chain. And you are going to do a 7 treble bubble. You're going to miss 3, and you're going to do it in this one here, back off. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 loops on the hook, pull through all 8. And then that's the end of your repeat. So now we're going to chain 7, miss 8 stitches, and then do the next bubble. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Miss those 8 stitches, and then you're going to come into here, the back of that one, and you're going to do your 7 treble bubble, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pull through, and then you can do 3 chain, and then you'll do your 7 treble bubble in this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pull through all 8. And that's what it should look like at the back. And I presume these will be pushed through, and that is how we will get our cherries. That's quite clever, actually. They will go through like that, and that's how we will get our cherries. Okay, so carry on to the end, and I'll see you at the end where we'll be changing colour again. Right, so when you get to the end of row 13, you've got 5 stitches left. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it says to do a 4 chain when you've done your last cherry, and do a double crochet into this last stitch. And then it says to fasten off. And then it says not to turn, so you're staying on this right side. It says to poke your cherries through, like that. So if you go along and do all your cherries all the way along, and then it says to get the bluebell again and join on this right side at this end. So that's here. And you join onto the first stitch, which will be this one here. And it says to do a 3 chain. 1, 2, 3. And it says you're working in front of the chain spaces of the 13th row into the stitches of the 12th row. So you're working into these stitches here. And it says to do a treble into the first stitch. So into here, we're doing a treble. And then you're doing working in front of the chain spaces of the 13th row. So that would be in front here, into the stitches of the 12th row, which are these here, the blue ones. You 1 treble into the first stitch, and then you 1 treble into each of the next 4 stitches. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll be. So I think you could either leave this red here, or you could go over it. Will that hide it if you do that? I wonder. Yes, so I'm going over that chain at the back there to hide it. Otherwise it will be showing at the back and likely to get caught So that's what I'm going to do. So that's 4 into there. And then you do a treble into the chain space. So that will be there, above your cherry. And then you do a treble into the next 3 stitches. So that's those 3 there. So that will be, and picking up, I'm going to pick up the cherry chain as well, just to hide it. Like that. It says miss the next chain space. So you miss the next chain space and you 1 treble into each of the next 4 stitches. So you're missing this and then you do it into the next 4. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. And you've been told, and we've been told to miss, so we've got quite a big space there. So then you start your repeat, and your repeat will be trebling into the next 4. So catching the cherry chain as we go along. Like that. And then you do a treble into the chain space on this one. And then you do it into the next 3. And I'm catching the cherry chain as I do it. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then this one you don't chain into the space, but you do into the next 4, catching the cherry train. And that's the end of your repeat again. So it's looking like that at the back. Pop these back through. And then you treble into the next 4. Start the repeat again. Remembering to pick up the cherry chain, bit of a tongue twister. This time we do this one here in the chain space, then we do the 3, and then we do 4, and we miss the chain space. We do 4. Two, 3, 4. And that is your repeat. And that's what it should look like. And I'll see you at the end. Right, at the end of row 14, you should have done your trebles along there. I've captured the chain from the cherries all the way along to keep mine tidy. I I've counted my stitches. I've got 170. You should have 170 trebles. If not, check. Remember that on the second of the group of 2 cherries, you miss a stitch here. You treble into the stitch above this one, but the second one you miss a stitch, and you do that all the way along. So if you're out with your stitch count, it might be that you put one in there, but you should have missed a stitch at each of the second of the group of 2. Okay, so with 170 trebles, we turn, so we're on the wrong side, and we do a 3 chain. So 1, 2, 3, and we do a treble into the base of that stitch because the chain doesn't count as a stitch, and then you do a treble all the way along. So a treble into every stitch, which will give you 170 trebles when you get to the end, and then you'll fasten off and you'll turn, and then we'll start row 16, which is the grass. So carry on to the end, and I'll see you at the beginning of row 16. Right, so when you get to the end of the 15th row, you fasten off and you turn, so you're now facing the right side, like that. And we're going to join the grass colour into the first stitch. Like that. And it says to 1 chain and do a double crochet into the first stitch, like that. And then you do a double crochet into each of the next 7 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. And then it says work a leaf and stems as given below. So leaf and stems, you make a 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you go back 4 stitches, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and you 1 double crochet into the stitch of the 14th row. So this was the 15th row, and this is the 14th row. So we need to do it into here. Insert in the hook from the front around the back at the top of the stitch of the 14th row. So a bit like a front post treble. So it'll be like that. Do 1 double crochet. Right, so then you join it onto there, onto that 4th stitch from row 14, and then you do a double crochet round the chain, a half double crochet round the chain, 3 trebles, that's 1, 2, 3, another half, and a double. And that's your leaf created. You then yarn over 3 times, 1, 2, 3, insert the hook from front to back of the first cherry bubble, like that, yarn over, draw through 2 loops, yarn over, draw through 2 loops, and then yarn over and draw through all 3, and then you repeat around the next cherry stem. So that'll be yarn over 3 times, round the cherry, round the cherry like that, pull through, then you pull through 2, yarn over, pull through another 2, and pull through 3. Then you go back and you do a double crochet into each of the next 12 stitches. So that will be, that's 1 there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, supposedly, that is what it should look like, which is quite clever, isn't it? So, once you've done the 12, you work another leaf and stem as given before. So, leaf and stem is 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you go back 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go round, attach it there with a double crochet. You then do a double crochet around your chain, a half treble around your chain, and 3 trebles. That's 1, 2, 3. Another half a treble and a double crochet. Should look like that. Then you yarn over 3 times, that's 2, 3, and you go down here and you go around your cherry, so round there. Okay. Yarn over, pull through, and you go through 2, another 2, and then 3 left on the hook, and you pull through all 3. Then you yarn over again 3 times, and you go round this cherry, second one of the set, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, then pull through all 3. And then you go back up here and you do 12 double crochets. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's what it should look like. It's quite cute, isn't it? Very clever. Very clever. So I'll do it one more time, and then it's just a matter of repeating it to the end. So you chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you go back 4 stitches, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrap it round, do a double crochet. Then you do a double crochet round the 5 chain, a treble round the a half treble round the 5 chain, 3 trebles. That's 1, 2, 3. Then a half treble and a double crochet. And then you yarn over 3 times. You go around the cherry like that. Yarn over, pull through, then you yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through in the next 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. You again yarn over 3 times, round the second cherry, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. And then back up here to do 12 double crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there we are. So that is how it should look. And you do that all the way along, and I'll see you at the end of row 16. Right, so that's the end of row 16. And it tells you to just do 6 double crochets when you finish that last cherry stem, and fasten off. And don't they look lovely? Absolutely beautiful. I'm definitely going to use those in a kid's cardigan or something. Really impressed with those. Very clever. Right, so now it says to fasten off and turn. So we're back on the reverse of the wrong side of our work, and you're joining the bluebell again into the first stitch. So like that, and you're doing 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and you're doing a treble into each of the double crochets to the end, taking care at the leaf stems section not to add extra stitches, and you should end up with 170. So 3 chain doesn't count as a stitch, so we'll be doing a treble in there. And I haven't got my light on. There, that's better. And then a treble into every double crochet all the way along. And be careful not to add stitches in where there aren't stitches. So when you get to here, this is obviously a stitch, and then the next one will be above here, which will be this one here. And then carry on. So a treble in every double crochet all the way along, and should end up with 170, and I'll see you at the end. Right, at the end of row 17 you should have 170 trebles, and I've counted mine and I've checked. And I just thought I'd show you places to beware of putting 2 more in. It's these bits here. So the last one goes in here in this stitch, and the next one will be going in to this stitch here. So you do not put one on there or in there. Okay, so that's what it should look like. So it will have a bit of a gap. Presumably that will tidy up, I don't know, but that's how it should be to get your 170 trebles. So don't get caught out and put one here, because then your numbers won't be correct. Okay, so when you get to the end you turn, and we're going to be adding another colour, and we're going to do some tapestry work again. So you're keeping the bluebell colour, and you're working on the right side, and you're going to join the lagoon blue. Right, so you join the lagoon blue to the first stitch like that, and then you will do 2 chain. That's 1, 2, and then a half treble into the first stitch, because this 2 chain doesn't count as a stitch. So half treble into there, like that. Right, so I'm going to put my lagoon blue to this side of me to keep them separate, to the back of me, and the bluebell to the front of me. Right, so then you half treble into each of the next 3 stitches, and you change to the bluebell in the last one. So half treble into the next 3, and you're carrying your thread along. So that's 1, 2, so 3, like that. And then when you get to the 3 loops on the hook, you bring the lagoon blue forward, pick up the bluebell, and you pull that through like that. And then you do 3 in the bluebell, and you alternate between 3 of each. So now we're going to do 3 in the bluebell. So that's 1, 2, and then on the third one I'm keeping the bluebell to the back, picking up the lagoon blue and adding it in there, and then I'm weaving in as I'm going along. That's 1, 2, and then changing over, so I bring that to the front, finish off the half treble, and then carry on weaving in as I go along. 1, 2, and that keeps it tidy. Like that. And you do that all the way along, and that's what it should look like. Right, at the end of row 18 you do 4 in the bluebell, and then you turn and you chain 2 in the bluebell again. 1, 2. Doesn't count as a stitch, so you'll do your half treble in that first stitch in the bluebell. Then you'll do 3 half trebles. That's 1, 2, and then you finish it off, and should have been carrying the lagoon blue along, and then you finish it off with that, and then you do 3 carrying the bluebell. 1, 2, and then I bring it to the front and finish off with the bluebell, and then weaving in the lagoon blue as we go along. And carry on like that all the way along to the end, and that'll be row 19. Right, so when you get to the end of row 19, it should look like this on the back, and you turn, you fasten off both ends, and then you change to white. And we're going to join, for row 20, we're going to join the white, and you're going to 1 chain and 1 double crochet into that last stitch, like that. And then you're going to double crochet all the way to the end, and you should have 170 double crochets, and then you fasten off. And that will be the end of our cherry panel. So double crochet to the end, and make sure you've got 170 double crochets. Right, so I finished row 20 of the cherry panel. So that's complete now. Doesn't it look lovely? Love those cherries, so pretty. So yes, so all that's left now of week 4 is the strawberry motifs, and I'll do that in part 2. But yes, the cherry panel is finished. I'll see you in part 2. Bye for now.